Hey guys, it's Lauren. Welcome back to my channel. This is Books and Tea and all things me, and I am so glad that you are here today. Today I am going to talk about all the books that I read in the month of October. I read 10 books and one graphic novel, and also got about halfway through another book, which I'll just show you today, but I'm obviously not going to talk about it completely yet because I have not finished it. But I'm really happy with myself. I read my entire TBR, which I thought was a little bit ambitious when I made it. Back last month when I was trying to decide what I wanted to read this month, I wasn't quite sure I was gonna make it, but I did. I had a great reading month. I'm not gonna lie, it's probably gonna be one of the best ones you'll ever see from me because I read at work, like every day, and the only reason I could do that was because I work at a brand new nursing facility and we were waiting to get the approval from the state to open up the doors and start accepting patients, and it took them like all month. So I literally had nothing to do at work. I literally read my book and got paid to do it, and so that was a really nice thing for me, but I think it also probably spoiled me a little bit to the point where next month, now that we're finally getting patients, I'm gonna be like, I have no time to read. It's gonna be a little bit of an adjustment, I think, but I just wanted to be real with you about why I was able to read so much this month, and I am really excited for the month of November. I'm really excited to share with you what I'm going to be reading. Watch out for that video. I'm gonna be filming a TBR later this week, and I can't wait to show you, but enough about that video. This one is my October wrap-up, so let's just get started. So the first book I read in October was The Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan, and this is the second book in the Percy Jackson the Olympian series. I love these books. So far, I really love Rick Riordan's writing style. I really love how fun these are, how adventurous they are. I love Percy, I love Annabeth, I love Grover, I love all the characters in these books, and I'm just really enjoying them. I can't wait to continue on with this series, and I can't wait to get to some of Rick Riordan's other series. I gave this book a 4 stars. The second book that I read this month was Hansel and Gretel by Neil Gaiman, and this probably really shouldn't count because it only took me like a half an hour to read it. I brought it back to my library already, so I can't really show you like the illustrations in it, but it's just Hansel and Gretel with really nice pictures in it. I did enjoy it. I was expecting more of like a retelling or a reimagining, I guess, of the story, and that's really not what it was. It was just the same old Hansel and Gretel story that I was expecting, and so I did only give this a 3 stars, but it was worth my time. It was a good read. The next book that I read was The Enchanted by Renee Denfeld, and I did a full book review on this, so I will link that below so you can check it out. I really enjoyed this book. I share all my thoughts in my review, so I don't really want to repeat it for those of you who have already watched it, but it was just really, really beautiful. Really stuck with me for the rest. I mean, I'm still thinking about it at the end of this month, and I read it at the beginning. It's a really beautiful story, much different than anything I've ever read before, and I gave that book 4 stars. The next book that I read was Snow Like Ashes by Sarah Rash, and I also did a full video review on this book, so I will link it down below as well so you can check that out. I really, really liked this book. I was having a really difficult time getting into it at the beginning of the story, like the first over half of the book, probably the first 2/3 of the book, I was really not caring for it. I just couldn't get into the story, but then that last third really sucked me in. It really made me so excited to see what happens in the next book, and it came out in the month of October, so I'm really excited to read that one. I have it on hold at my library. I probably am just gonna go out and buy it because I don't feel like waiting, and I'm just really excited to continue on with this series. I gave this book a 4 stars. The next book I read this month was Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, and this book was a little bit of a disappointment for me. I feel like this book was so hyped up all over BookTube. Everybody loves it. I know some people did have problems with it, but I did as well. I only gave this book a 3 stars. I really was into it at first, and then when I started realizing, even before watching any other reviews, how much it was like other books I've read, I just couldn't get into it. Also, all the betrayal was just making me so mad. Every page that I turned, I was like, oh, who's gonna betray who next? Like, I don't know, it was just too much tension for me, I think. And then just the fact that it was so much like the Hunger Games and X-Men and just all these other stories that I've heard before, I just couldn't get into this book as much as I wanted to. I will continue on with this series. I'm excited to see what happens next, but it just wasn't as great as I was expecting. The next book I read was A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness, and this was my favorite book of the month. This was so beautiful. I gave this book a 5 stars. I was so touched by the story. I had kind of a hard time getting through it because my mother also has cancer, and so I've been through a lot of the same things that the main character in this book goes through and struggled with a lot of those same feelings that he had. Luckily, my mom's doing well, and I have a lot to be thankful for in terms of her cancer journey. She's been so strong. She's been such an inspiration to me, but this book it just gave me those feelings again, and I cried. I just loved it so much, and the illustrations were absolutely beautiful as well. It really sucked me in. It was so wonderful. So 5 out of 5 stars. If you have not read this book yet, you need to. It is just a story that cannot be missed. The next book I read was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, and this book was wonderful. I love this book. I gave it a 4 stars. I did a video review on this one as well, so if you want to check that out, I will link it down below also. And I just really enjoyed this story. I loved the fae. I have not really read many stories that have fairies in them before, and I really enjoyed learning the aspects of their world and about the different fairies, and just, I don't know, I thought it was great. I did have some major problems with it, but not anything that really took away from my enjoyment of the story per se. So if you want to hear all my thoughts, obviously, like I said, you can check the video out. I gush about it for quite a while. So the next book I read was The Dream Thieves by Maggie Stiefvater, and this is the second book in the Raven Cycle series, and I really enjoyed this book as well. I gave it a 4 stars. I love this series. I read the 3rd book as well this month, which I'll talk about in a minute, but this book revolved around Ronan more than any of the other characters, and I really like Ronan's character. I am so intrigued by his, just the mystery of him. He's a very mysterious character, and we get to know him a lot better in the story. Also, I just loved the dreaming part of this book. I don't want to give anything away, but I loved that aspect of it. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about, and just really enjoyed this. I thought it was a very strong second book. The next book I read this month was Creepers by David Morrell, and this book is sort of outside my typical reading genre. This is a thriller, and I read it for the month of October because I thought it would be appropriate. This book is about a group of people that goes into an abandoned hotel, and they call themselves creepers. That's what they do. They explore all these old buildings so that they can see how people lived in past lives and how things are sort of preserved in their state when the building was closed down. And so it was really interesting. This book went places I was not expecting. People die, which I should have known because it's a thriller, but I don't know why. I just was like, the first person that died, I was like, what? I couldn't handle it. This one had me on the edge of my seat, and I actually enjoyed it. I gave it a 3 stars. It wasn't the best thing I've ever read, and it's not my typical favorite type of read, but I thought it was good. Yeah. And then, like I said before, I also read the 3rd book in the Raven Cycle series this month, Blue Lily, Lily Blue by Maggie Stiefvater, and I really loved this one as well. This book is intense. I was not expecting some of the things that happened in this book. I really enjoyed it, but I also had a lot of anxiety while I was reading it. I had to lay this one down several times and then not pick it up again just for a little while because my heart was beating so fast, and I was so nervous about what was gonna happen next that I couldn't even think straight or concentrate on what was happening in the story. And I do deal with some anxiety when I read certain books. This one definitely triggered that anxiety, so I did just want to throw that out there for any of you who might struggle with that same thing that I do. I know that Sam from Thoughts on Tomes made a video about how anxiety affects her reading, and I actually watched that video after I watched her review of The Raven Boys and really connected a lot with what she said. So if you're someone who struggles with that as well, I will link her video down below. I think she does a really good job of just letting all of us who deal with anxiety within our reading know that we are not alone. And this might be a video that I decide to make someday too, just talking about my struggles with anxiety while I read. And if that's something that interests you, please let me know in the comments down below, because I would love to know if that is something that you're interested in seeing. I know it's sort of soon to open up to you about these things on my channel, but it is something that I really want to share with you at some point, and I was just really touched by how open and honest Sam was in her video. So if you have not watched that, please check it out. I will link it down below. And the final book that I finished this month is actually a graphic novel, and it is Gotham Academy by Becky Cloonan, Brendan Fletcher, and Carl Kerschel. And this is my first ever graphic novel. Literally first graphic novel. I went into my library because everybody's talking about graphic novels lately, and I just wanted to see what sort of selection that they had, and they really didn't have anything that I was used to hearing about on BookTube, but I thought that the illustrations in this one looked really, really nice. Let me find a good page for you so I can show you. This one is sort of like a green tone, and I enjoyed this. I think I'm only going to give it a 3 stars just because I don't think this is my favorite platform for reading, but I really did enjoy it. It was quick, it was interesting, there's a lot of mystery in this story, and I really, really enjoyed the illustrations. I thought they were beautiful. I don't think that my library has the second volume of this Gotham Academy series, so I don't even know if it exists. I'm going to have to look into that, but I do have some other graphic novels on hold for next month that I can't wait to read, and I'm really excited just to continue to kind of check out a few different graphic novels because I do want to broaden my horizons a little bit, and this is definitely nothing that I'm used to. So yeah, enjoyed it. So like I said, I did get through half of another book this month, and that is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. I am just about halfway. So I'm going to be continuing reading this one. Hopefully I will finish it today. And that is all I read this month. I hope that you guys also had an awesome reading month and that you read all the books that you had on your TBR or all the books that you wanted. I'm so excited for the books that I'm going to be reading in the month of November, so look forward to my November TBR video. Like I said, I'm doing a couple buddy reads in November, and I'm really excited about that because I've never done that before, and I'm just excited to get to know a couple of the YouTubers out there. Thank you so much for all of you who have reached out to me, who have commented. I did hit my 100 subscribers, so I'm really excited about that, and I just really appreciate all your support. So I hope that you guys all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever time it is for you while you're watching this, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!